Hey friend, in today's watercolor tutorial, I'm going to be teaching how to paint the Narrows of Zion National Park in Utah. Without further ado, let's get painting. For this Zion landscape, we're going to be using Venetian Red, Orange, Yellow Ochre, Burnt Umber, Aqua Green, Black, and Payne's Gray. I'll also be using a size 6 Princeton round brush and a size 12 Princeton round brush. And my painting here that we'll be working with is a size 5 by 7 inches. To start our painting, I just want to do a really light sketch of the silhouette of the walls of the Narrows. So I'm going to start just by using a little bit of burnt umber for our sketch here. And I just want to lightly outline just the edges of where our water will meet the rocks. So I'm just doing this kind of S curve to start. And then from here, I'm gonna kind of mirror that similar kind of S curve. Okay, and then from here, I just want to lightly sketch kind of the opening between the two walls. So just doing a really loose, jagged line to start. And then another jagged line just parallel to it. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of a curve where the Narrows are just going to curve towards the right wall. All right, now after I've used my size 6 brush for a bit, I'm gonna just switch gears by building our washes on the rock face here. And I'm gonna start with some orange using our size 12 brush now. And I'm just gonna do a wash of orange as the base kind of foundation for the walls. From here, I'm now going to grab some yellow ochre and we're going to slowly build our color here. I'm just going to apply some yellow ochre towards the bottom here, this bottom left corner. I'm going to add some more on this right side as well. Okay, and then from here, I want to add some burnt umber. And the burnt umber, I'm going to apply some just in kind of a jagged formation here. Just going in and then bringing it back out to the edge of the paper and all the way down. I'm just applying this burnt umber just loosely in kind of a vertical jagged form. All right, and then from here, I'm going to take some Venetian Red. And I really want some vivid, saturated areas of Venetian Red. So I'm adding some just on this left edge to start. And again, I'm trying to make the wall kind of jagged. So I'm really just using the tip of my size 12 brush to get some irregular kind of jagged marks along the edge. I'm going to add a little bit more off towards the right here. And keep in mind that your color, as it dries, will lift and lighten up slightly. So it's okay to go a little bit darker because it'll kind of lighten up as it dries. I'm going to add some along this burnt umber area that we added before. Just carrying on with that Venetian Red. And then just doing some jagged brushwork on the edges here. And I'll add some more Venetian Red off towards the left edge of the page. I'm just going to continue to just build and layer this color. Okay, from here I'm going to start to utilize my size 6 brush to add some finer detail. I'm going to start with a little bit of a saturated amount of burnt umber mixed with just a touch of black to make a nice dark brown. And I want to start to shade the bottom here of our narrows. And I'm carrying on by having the edge of the narrows be kind of jagged and textured. And then I'm just going to kind of lift and buff out the dark brown to kind of gradually bleed into the narrows above. I'll do the same thing on the right side. And I'm just going to bring up some of that deep brown and add it to just shade some of the rock surface just above, just tapping with my size 6 brush. I'm going to add just a little bit more towards the left here as well. And I'm just slowly building the shading of our narrows here. And then I'm going to mix a little bit of Venetian Red with some burnt umber just to make kind of a deeper brick red. And I want to start to add some kind of angled rocks here. So I'm just doing almost like a zigzag kind of line here And then I'm gonna wet my brush and just tap it out on my paper towel and just take a slightly damp brush and just kind of buff out that line. And then smoothing it out with some water. Gonna do the same thing on this right side. Maybe bring the rock face a little bit more inward. All right, and then from here, I'm gonna rinse my brush and just take a damp brush and just buff out that line with some water. To make those areas pop a bit, I'm gonna layer just some plain Venetian red on them. And then from here, I'll do the same thing on this left side as well. And then I want to do maybe just a vertical jagged line just in this lighter area as well. And then I'm just gonna buff it out using a wet brush on the side. And then I'm gonna just take a little bit of orange this time, just as a really pretty highlight. And I wanna just bring back some of that black and burnt umber as well, just to make this shadow kind of pop on the edge. Okay, now on this left side, I want to build some of the shading here using that burnt umber and black. And then from here, I want to mix a little bit of Venetian Red with some orange. I'm just going to add this color as just a bright highlight right in this light area here. I'm just continuing to just build and layer the color and the rock texture. I'm going to layer a little bit of this color combo that we just did over to the right as well. Okay, and before we add any other details, I'm just gonna let my paper set and dry, and then we'll add some finishing touches to the rocks, and we'll add our blue water below. Okay, before we move on to some of those details, I just wanna add a wash of some watered down Venetian Red in between these two rock faces, and it's almost gonna look like a subtle kind of earthy pink tone. And I'm just painting it all inside there, nice and watery. All right, and then from here, I want to do just a light wash of our water here, just where the the actual narrows are going to be. I'm just going to fill that up with a water wash. All the way up to those edges. Okay, and now I want to mix just a little bit of Aqua Green with a touch of Payne's Gray. And I just want to add a few touches of this color. I'm going to allow the blue to fully dry first and then layer on just some more variegated kind of water detail. But I just want to make sure I have some highlights as well in the water and that it's not just solid blue. So I'm just going to do a really pale watery wash, just like so. And then I'm just going to take a little bit more Payne's Gray and just add some on the edges here and into the corner. And I'm just going to add a touch of Payne's Gray on one of the edges here. All right, and then I will just add a few just subtle horizontal lines using the tip of my brush just to help kind of get that watery texture going. But from here, I will just allow this to just set and dry before I add some more details. And now moving on to our rock faces here, I'm going to mix some burnt umber with some Venetian Red with a touch of black for a nice like earthy, deep red brown. And I am going to start to kind of build some details with our rock faces. And I'm going to start by adding kind of a angled, slightly horizontal line here. And then I'm going to just do a curved line all the way down. And I'll do another curved line on the left side as well. From here, I'm just going to take a slightly damp brush and just buff out some of the harshness of that line on either side. And then from here, I am just going to kind of bring this out a little bit more. And then do kind of an angled line towards the left. And just slowly start to add some more concrete, jagged shadows and crevices. And anytime they seem a little too harsh, I just buff it out with a slightly wet brush. Okay, and now I'm going to add some crevice lines here as well. Just some jagged, irregular brush strokes to add some more variegation in the rock face. I'll add a touch of this color, just textured, in this left corner as well. And then I'm just gonna tap my brush out and just grab a little bit of plain Venetian Red. And I just wanna add just some loose kind of texture using the tip of my brush on this highlight here of the orange. I'm just blotting with the tip of my brush here. And then from here, I just wanna start to build some of these shadows. I'm gonna do a swooping kind of horizontal brush stroke here towards the bottom. And then I'm gonna do a few vertical jagged lines as well that are nice and loose and textured. I'm gonna grab a little bit more black and mix that into my color just to add a little bit more shadow. And then I'm just going to add some more just in this crevice area here. Bring it all the way up. Nice and just loose and textured. And I'm just going to subtly kind of buff that out with a slightly wet brush. And then using our Venetian Red, Burnt Umber, and Black mixed color, I just want to do just a few touches of some kind of angled crevices that are more horizontal or diagonal slightly. Just going to add a few touches of just some loose horizontal lines, just like so in the rock face. Alrighty, maybe just a couple more. Okay, so there's our loose kind of left side of the wall here. And now we can move on to this side. And I'm just going to mix a little bit more of that Venetian Red, Burnt Umber, and Black. And I just want to kind of add that jagged texture along this shadow here. From there, I'm just going to add a few touches of some just variegated, really loose brush strokes on this rock face that's more inward as well. And I'm just going to lightly buff out this line with a watered down brush. And then using just some texture, just using the belly of my brush here, I'm just going to kind of buff out and get some more loose texture in this highlight here. Just tapping with my brush. All right, now I'm just going to do a few crevices that are slightly curved in this right upper corner. And then just doing some swooping, slightly angled horizontal lines. then I'm just going to take a moment to just smooth out some of the shadows just a little bit with just a damp brush. Okay, now taking a slightly dry brush, I'm just going to do a little bit of some variegated texture, just dry brush texture on this highlight here in the center. And I'm just taking the belly of my brush, the side bottom of my brush here, and I'm just buffing out some of this kind of dry brush texture. And then I'm just going to take a moment just to step back and look at my painting and just smooth out any kind of intense jagged edges here. I just want to soften a little bit. All right, and from here, I'm just going to mix some Payne's Gray with a touch of Aqua Green. And I'm just going to add along these edges just more shadow, making sure I'm doing an irregular texture with the tip of my brush. And then from there, from these edges, I'm just going to kind of pull from them and do kind of just some subtle horizontal lines, just moving left to right. Making sure to subtly fill in this narrow here towards the canyon. And then I'm just going to take a watery brush and just kind of fill in this texture a little bit more. And then from here, I'm just going to add a touch more of this deep color and just add a few variegated areas and touches of this deep blue and allowing it to kind of bleed out. hope that you enjoyed this watercolor Zion National Park tutorial of the Narrows. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss any further watercolor tutorials.